What was the most memorable concert in your life? LCD Soundsystem at Red Rocks in 2016. We were up pretty high for seating and watched a thunderstorm roll in across the landscape in the distance. Got to see the show and safely watch lightning strike in the background. One of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, and LCD was a force of nature in and of themselves that night. Tool Maynard stayed in the shadows behind Danny the whole set, and it was totally about the music and the journey. 1010. Except for the Grateful Dead, Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon 1973. Lamb of God. War opened for them. Got soaked in blood and guts, was tossed over the front barrier while crowd surfing and landed on a security guard. Got my glasses broken in a mosh pit and lost my hearing for a few days. Best show I've ever been to. The most memorable concert for me, unfortunately, was the worst I've ever been to. Kanye West at a music fest in Colorado. Started his show 1 hour late. Played for 30 minutes. He was the main headliner for the festival, last show of the night, and the whole festival was supposed to play well into the night. He literally goaded the 90 white crowd into singing along the N-word with him in the song Gold Digger. As in, he literally briefly stopped, told the crowd to sing along this chorus with him, and pointed the mic at the crowd during. Now I ain't saying she's a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. The crowd didn't want to clearly, but he kept telling them to. He then got mad at the mostly white crowd for doing what he demanded them to do and stormed off the stage after 30 minutes. Worstomest concert of my life, and I will never forget it. Bowie in 1987. Incredible. Pink Floyd at the Rose Bowl in 1994. Doug E. Fresh and Rob Bass at the Aragon in Chicago in the 80s. Bangladesh with George Harrison 1971 in Madison Square Garden. First time I smelt marijuana. Honestly, impossible to narrow it down to one. But here's the tippy top. Roger Waters' The Wall. Mind-blowing performance of a perfect record. They build a wall during the set, then part of it opens for an acoustic set. They crash a plane into and there's a giant marionette balloon, etc. Unbelievable show. 9 Inch Nails, Lights in the Sky tour. Craziest light rigs I ever seen, with these LED fences on stage, so light moved around them, rained on them, etc. It was amazing. Justice at Life is beautiful. About the best electronic set I could imagine, with a wild light rig. Tool at the Gorge. Not as crazy as the others in terms of an amazing light rig or singular production. But Tool played a perfect set, over 2 hours, at the most beautiful concert venue on the planet. If you haven't been to the Gorge in Eastern Washington, add it to your bucket list. Sublime place for a show. Hunter, Santiago de Chile, 1998. Probably the wildest thing I went through in my late teens. And then the show that Santana did during 2009. It was the first concert I invited my dad to. War back when they had the original frontman Oderus Urungus. Michael Jackson concert 1997. Probably either my very first one, I was 7 and it was Weird Al, or first time seeing Fish. Rage Against the Machine at the 2000 DNC. Queen with Freddie Mercury summer of 1980. Fleetwood Mac 1976. Minnesota. Outdoor concert. Saw them again in the early 2000s and met Mick. Anticlimactic compared to 1976. Radiohead, late August 2001 at Liberty State Park in New Jersey, right across from Lower Manhattan. End of the Kid A Amnesiac tour. Went with my 2 best friends and we made it to the front row. They played a stunning set and came out and did True Love Waits during the encore, which was really special. A photographer came out to take a picture of the band before the encore with the entire audience in the background. 6 months later, I see a poster for the live EP at a record store with me and my friends in the front row. We stayed a bit after the show to avoid going home, tried to meet the band, and to look at Lower Manhattan from the other side of the harbor. 3 weeks later, we were in our first weeks of college, and the towers came down. Real end of an era shit in so many ways. Prince Purple Rain Tour Superdome. He was the one artist in America at the time, and the crowd was totally into it. Fantastic show. Depeche Mode World Violation Tour Houston. They played at the Cynthia Woodlands Amphitheater. Translation. Outside. We were melting. The band was melting. Nobody cared. Ted Nugent, Nazareth, Lynyrd Skynyrd and Aerosmith May 30, 1976 at RFK Stadium. Great show by Skynyrd.